Hey there, welcome to Yoga with Rachel, and also welcome to your yoga practice for balance and core strength. For today's practice, I recommend bringing a blanket as well as 2 yoga blocks or 2 similar sized items such as books. As always, work with what you have and explore an option that works good for you. All right, without further ado, let's get started. We begin our practice on our backs, so come on down to the ground. And then when you do arrive there, walk your feet in towards your hips, your knees point upwards, and then place your arms and hands at your sides. Right away, I invite you to take note of your low back. Is your low back lifted away from your mat? And a really great way of testing that out is, can you place your fingertips as well as your hand perhaps underneath the low back? And then if you can, that means that it is lifted. So if that is the case, let's rock the pelvis forward, hip points shining towards your face or towards the back of your room. So that way the low back connects to the ground and then your belly button kind of hugs in towards your spine. Perhaps right here you can already feel some lovely work being done in the core, especially the lower belly. All right, let's take 3 breath cycles here to settle on into our practice. Breathe in through your nose. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Lovely. Hug your right knee in towards your chest and then send your left leg out long. Your left heel rests on the ground and your toes point towards the sky. Breathe in here and then breathe out to switch. Left knee comes in, right leg goes out long. Breathe in, breathe out to switch. Breathe in, breathe out to switch. All right, so you can continue this action alternating between right and left leg. Or if you're looking for a little bit more heat, you can lift your head and shoulders away from the ground, bringing your nose closer towards your knee, and then lift your right leg away from the ground so that way it's hovering. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to switch. Right knee comes in, left leg out long and hovers. Breathe in, breathe out to switch. Breathe in, breathe out to switch. So wherever you are, I invite you to continue alternating between the legs, warming up the core. Keep the face soft as best as you can. Tuck in your chin slightly, directing your gaze towards the sky. One more to balance it out on each side. Beautiful. Lower end release, taking a full body stretch. Point through your toes, spread through your fingers, arch through your back body to stretch it on out, especially the belly. Gorgeous. Now hug your knees in towards your chest. Place your hands on your hamstrings, and now let's rock and roll the length of the spine. So sending the feet back to kind of gain momentum, connecting to your center as you do this. And then eventually we make our way to a cross-legged seat on the mat. Great work, everyone. Place your hands on your knees, and now let's just draw some circles with the torso. Perhaps playing around with connecting breath to action, breathing in to come forward, and then breathing out to take it on back. Just notice the space that perhaps you're creating in your torso through the front body, the side body, as well as the back body. And then you can take that circle in the other direction. So this just offers a gentle warm up to the spine, and it also activates those core muscles, those lovely core muscles that we'll be engaging today as we move, flow, and practice our balance. Okay, allow your circles to become smaller and smaller until eventually you align your head over your heart and then your heart over your pelvis, so we're sitting tall through the spine. Now place your feet out in front with your knees pointing towards the sky, hands on the hamstrings. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to lean back, lifting the balls of your feet away from the ground and your heels are resting on the earth. Loop your shoulders, lift your heart, finding length through the back body. So there is an option to stay here, or you can play around with lifting your feet away from the ground. You can either point through your toes, flex through your feet. Option to bring your legs together for more stability. Totally up to you. On your next breath in, send your hands to the sky, palms facing towards one another. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to twist to your right, open twist. So your left arm is forward, right arm behind. Breathe in, hands up and overhead, facing forward. And then breathe out, open twist to your left. Right arm is forward this time. Breathe in, both hands high into the sky, look forward. Breathe out to twist. So remember, you can keep your heels resting on the ground. You're still getting beautiful work done in the core. Breathe in, hands to the sky. Whew. Breathe out to twist. Embrace that tremble. That's prana, energy, you got this. Breathe in, hands to the sky, look forward, and then breathe out, releasing the feet to the earth. Wrap your arms around your shins and then just bow your head. Take a moment to reconnect with your breath. Perhaps you can feel your heart beating here. Maybe you got a little bit of sweat on the forehead happening. It's all good. Okay, lift your head. And now we are going to lay on our left side, so that way our left hip is on the ground. For this next movement, I do encourage you to make use of a folded blanket or a pillow, whatever you have available. And if you don't have an item available, you can always fold your yoga mat over, just for additional padding. So let's lower down to the left hip, placing the left forearm on the ground. And your left forearm will be parallel to the top edge of your mat. And let's bend at our knees, tucking the feet in behind us. So press away from your mat, so that way there's a little bit of space between your left side body and the ground, as well as space between your ear and your shoulder. All right, let's lift the right foot away from the left leg, and then send your right leg out long, extending through that leg, pointing through your toes, and then reach your right hand past your ear towards the front of your room. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to begin to bend at your right elbow and right knee, bringing elbow closer towards your thigh. Breathe in to reach and extend, and then breathe out to bring it on in. Breathe in to reach, extend. Breathe out, hug it in. Maybe you can feel some work being done in the obliques. Breathe in, reach and extend. Breathe out, hug it in. One more on your own time. Breathe in. Breathe out. Well, I guess that was kind of on my time. All right, now let's come on over to the right side, onto the right hip, and we're just going to repeat the same sequence over here. So lowering on down to that right forearm, bending at the knees, tucking the toes in behind, and now let's lift that left leg away from the right. Extend through that left leg, so point through your toes as you reach your left hand over, past your ear towards now the front of your room. All right, breathe in here, and then breathe out to hug it all in, elbow towards thigh or to thigh. Breathe in, breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out, press away from your mat as you do this. Breathe in, breathe out. Now one more on your own time, truly. Beautiful work. Lower and release. And now let's make our way to all fours. So you can continue to use your folded blanket or your pillow to pad your knees, to pad your shins. And now let's find a tabletop position, stacking the wrists underneath the shoulders, knees underneath the hips, pressing into the tops of the feet, spread through the fingers, fingertips connect with the ground. Rock your pelvis forward just to create some length through the low back. Breathe in, breathe out. Now lift your right knee and shin away from the ground. And now send your right foot high and towards the sky, keeping a bend in your right knee. The sole of your foot is reaching, so kind of like a donkey kick. As you drop your belly closer towards the earth, heart shines forward, look forward. So you can think cow pose with the leg up in the air. Breathe in. Breathe out to hug your right knee in towards your heart center, round through your spine, nose towards your knee. So you can think cat pose. Breathe in. Right foot to the sky. Breathe out to hug it on in. Breathe in. Breathe out. One more on your own time. And then eventually we release the right knee down to the ground. Let's take it over to the other side. So lifting your left knee and shin away from the ground, send the sole of your foot towards the sky, keeping a bend in that knee. Drop your belly, look forward. Breathe in here. Breathe out to hug your left knee in towards your heart, round through the spine, nose towards your knee. Breathe in, coming back the way that you came. And then breathe out, hug it in. Breathe in. Breathe out. And then one more on your own time. Wonderful. Lower your left knee down to the ground. And now let's just sit back towards the heels, reaching the hands forward, stretching out through the shoulders, the upper back, taking a little bit of a break off of the wrists. Wonderful. Let's now make our way back to all fours. And then when you arrive there, find your tabletop position. So rocking the pelvis forward, hugging belly button in towards the spine, just creating length through the low back. All right, look down at your mat. Curl your right toes under as you slide your right foot towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to press into the top of your left foot as you lift your right foot away from the ground. Dial your toes down, so that way your heel is roughly in line with your hip. So we're kind of leveling out the hips. Now you may find that we're shifting more of the weight towards the left side. So let's press into that right palm just to try to balance things out a little bit. Breathe in. Breathe out to send your left hand forward, reaching forward as if you're going to shake someone's hand. Bird dog. Option to stay here, testing out balance, or you can turn your right toes off to the right side and then begin to bend at your right knee. Bring your right knee so that way it is in line with your right hip, and then begin to bend at your left elbow. Your left elbow is now in line with your shoulder, palm facing towards the ground. Breathe through this, pressing into all that is touching the earth to keep you grounded and stable. Breathe in, and then breathe out to find your bird dog. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to lower and release. Good work. Curl your left toes under, and then slide your left foot towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe in. Breathe out to lift your left foot away from the ground. Your back leg is about parallel to the sky. Again, pressing into the top of the right foot, just to keep us grounded and stable. You may even want to spread through your right toes, so that way even your pinky toe is pressing on into the ground. Now reach your right hand forward. Again, just notice what happens as you kind of shifted your weight here. Really connect to your center, bracing your core. Option to stay here, or you can turn your left toes off to the side, begin to bend at your knee, coming into kind of a hydrant dog, and then begin to bend at your right elbow. So your elbow is in line with your right shoulder. your knee is in line with your left hip. Flex through your left foot, spread through your right fingers. Breathe in, and then breathe out. Whew. Send it on forward. Yes, you got this, bird dog. Breathe in, and then breathe out to lower and release. Bring your big toes together, knees about as wide as your yoga mat, and then just sit back towards your heels. Reach your hands forward. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to melt your heart center towards the earth, releasing your forehead to or towards the earth for a few breath cycles. Press into all that is touching the earth, and then lift your head as you look towards the top edge of your mat, and then slowly rise on up. Walk your wrists underneath your shoulders, knees underneath your hip points, shins about parallel to one another, and then step your right foot towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to hug your right knee in towards your chest. Press away from your yoga mat before stepping your right foot through. Walk your left knee back in space, deepening the stretch. Your front knee is stacked over top of your ankle. Breathe in as you look forward, and then breathe out, creating some space between your ears and your shoulders. On your next breath in, sweep your hands high into the sky. So we're hugging everything in towards the midline. So we're hugging the thighs in, the knees, belly button hugs in towards the spine. Option to stay here, or you can play around with your left hand grabbing your right wrist and then tilting over towards the left side. So just kind of testing out our balance here as we enjoy a side body stretch. So we're moving from center. We're connecting our breath to find steadiness and ease here. Breathe in. Breathe out to unravel, hands high into the sky, and then melt your hands down to the ground, palms on the earth as you step your right foot back to meet your left. Now step your left foot towards the back edge of your mat. Breathe in. Breathe out to hug your left knee in towards your center, and then step your left foot through. Walk your right knee back in space. Breathe in, breathe out. On your next breath in, sweep your hands, oh hi angel, high into the sky. Breathe out to find some space between your ears and your shoulders. Once again, there is an option to stay here, or you can play around with your right hand taking hold of your left wrist and then tilting over towards the right side. Notice everything that is connected and touching the earth here, keeping you grounded and stable. Breathe in, and then breathe out to unravel, hands to the sky. Breathe in, breathe out to fold forward, plant your palms on the ground, and then step your left foot back where we meet in a tabletop position. All right, so now you can move your item aside if you were using one. And now walk your hands to the long edges of your mat, tuck your toes under, breathe in, breathe out to send your hips to the sky, finding your downward facing dog. Find a beautiful bend in your knees, looking between your feet. Anchor through your left heel so your left heel grows heavy. Breathe in to sweep your right foot high into the sky, point through your toes, three-legged dog. Breathe out to shift forward like in high plank, hugging your right knee in towards your chest. Breathe in, three-legged dog. Breathe out, shifting forward, right knee towards right elbow. Breathe in, three-legged dog, and then breathe out to cross it over, right knee towards your left elbow. Breathe in, three-legged dog, and then breathe out to lower your right foot down to the ground. Anchor through that right heel, breathe in to sweep your left foot to the sky, point through your toes. Breathe out to hug your left knee in towards your chest, shifting forward. Breathe in, three-legged dog. Breathe out, left knee to or towards your left elbow. Breathe in, three-legged dog. And then breathe out, crossing it on over, left knee to or towards your right elbow. Breathe in, three-legged dog, and then breathe out to lower your left foot down to the ground. Breathe in through your nose, and now open mouth exhale to let it go. All right, come up onto your tiptoes, and then roll through your spine, nice and slow, until eventually we meet in a high plank with the wrists stacked underneath the shoulders. Press away from your yoga mat, spread through your fingers. Breathe in, breathe out. All right, now walk your hands towards your feet, bending at your knees, lowering your heels down to the ground. We meet in a standing forward fold. Allow your head and your neck to just grow heavy here. All right, now walk your hands forward towards the top edge of your mat. We meet in a high plank, and then walk your hands towards your feet. Standing forward fold with bent knees. Walk your hands towards the top edge of your mat. We meet in a plank. There is an option to stay here, or you can lift your right foot away from the ground, dial your toes down, your right leg is parallel to the sky, and then lower your right foot to the ground. Lift your left foot away from the ground. So we're kind of shifting our weight here, testing out some balance and stability in the body. And then lower your left foot to the earth. Breathe in, breathe out, hips high into the sky, downward facing dog. Let's now begin to crisscross our feet and our legs to the top edge of the mat. And we will meet eventually in a standing forward fold with bent knees. Allow your fingertips to either rest on the earth or towards the earth. And now let's walk our fingertips to the right side, stretching out through the left side body here. And now if the fingertips do not meet the earth, it's all good. They can stay lifted away from the ground. Just keep a nice bend in your knees. Notice if you're gripping through your toes, can you soften that area of the body? All right, and now walking your fingers back through center, and then over to the left side, stretching it on out. All right, walking your hands back through center, and now really bend your knees to allow your belly to just rest on your thighs. For this next movement, I invite you to close your eyes as you slowly roll up through your spine. Eventually, we meet standing tall on our mats, feet hip distance apart. Rock your pelvis forward, roll your shoulders forward, up and back, palms facing forward with the fingertips curling in, and then tuck in your chin slightly. Breathe in, breathe out. Take a moment to notice how you feel. You can use this time to just check in with your mind, your physical body. I find that balancing postures, whether I'm on the ground exploring them or standing balancing postures, offer a really great check-in in relation to how I am feeling. I find that when I have a lot of thoughts going on in my mind, my balance is not the greatest. So you can use this time here on your mat to just check in with how you feel. Perhaps using your balance as an indicator of what's going on in the physical, mental, or even emotional bodies. And there's no right or wrong answer. Again, just something to think about. And also just being kind and gentle to yourself as you explore each and every single time that we show up on our mat is going to be different, right? Just like every single day at work is different. Every day is different. So just be kind and gentle to yourself as you explore. Let's all take a loving breath in through the nose and then breathe out through your mouth. Let it go. Lovely. Open up your eyes. Now you can either walk your feet and your legs together, or if you have a yoga block, you can place that item, your block or your thick book, between your thighs and then squeeze that item. All right. Now begin to sit back into an imaginary chair, so hinging at the hips, knees tracing over top of the feet. Lengthen your tailbone down towards the ground. Most of your weight will be in your heels as well as your hips. Now send your hands forward, palms facing towards one another in chair pose. Option to stay here, or you can shift your weight forward, coming up onto the balls of your feet, lifting your heels away from the ground, and then perhaps you sink a little bit deeper into the posture. Breathe here. Beautiful. Now lower your heels down to the ground, finding your chair pose. Breathe in, and then breathe on out to slowly rise on up. Awesome work. All right, so keep your blocks or your items just out in front of you as you may wish to use them. Now step your right foot to around the middle point of your mat. So your feet were hip distance apart, and now we're just stepping that right foot back. We're going to be testing out our balance here, so just rock a little forward and back a few times. Your heel is lifted away from the ground. All right. And now let's begin to shift our weight forward onto the left leg and left foot, and just begin to lift your right foot away from the ground, just playing here, and then lower your right foot back down to the ground. Lift, shifting your weight forward, and then lower. Lift, and then lower. So perhaps you just play around with just testing your balance here, lifting and lowering that back leg. Or you can take flight. And if balance is a little bit tricky, I recommend placing your two blocks or your two items just to frame that front foot, just in case you wish to make use of that item. All right, hands on the hips. And now let's lift the right foot away from the ground. So we are hinging forward at the left hip. Your torso is about parallel to the ground, as well as your right leg. Point through your toes. Hug the belly button in towards the spine. Crown of your head reaching forward, kind of like you're being pulled in two different directions. And now you can lower your hands down onto your blocks or your item or a chair, whatever you're using. Or you can send your hands forward out in front of you. Palms facing towards one another in Warrior 3. So we're testing balance, building strength. You got this. Breathe in, and then breathe out to lower and release. Woo! I was feeling that one. All right, step the right foot up to meet your left. Give the legs a little bit of a shake. You can make adjustments to your props. And then step your left foot towards the middle of your mat. So we are on the ball of the foot, and we're just going to rock a little forward and back a few times. Before maybe playing around with lifting that left foot away from the ground and then lowering. Lifting, shifting the weight forward. We're finding a small bend in that standing leg, and then lower. Lift and lower. And then perhaps this time before you take flight, you spread through your toes, the right toes, pressing into all four corners of your feet. And then you play around with lifting off. Sometimes bringing the hands to the hips can be really, really helpful, or hands to heart. Point through your back toes, tucking your chin slightly. hug the belly button in towards the spine. So we are really engaging the core muscles here to keep us grounded, balanced, stable. You can lower your hands to your blocks. You can reach your arms forward. Breathe in, and then breathe out to lower your left foot down to the ground, and then walk that left foot up to meet your right. Just shake it off. You're doing awesome. All right, on your next breath in, bend your knees, send your hands to the sky. Breathe out, forward fold. Breathe in to find a halfway lift, flat back, and then breathe out to fold. Plant your palms on the ground and then step it back to a high plank. Press away from your mat. Breathe in, breathe out to shift forward, bend at your elbows, and then slowly lower down to the ground. Great. Untuck your toes, press into the tops of your feet, rock your pelvis forward, and now place your fingertips off of your mat with your elbows pointing towards the sky, and they're roughly in line with your rib cage. Breathe in to loop your shoulders, lift your heart, tuck in your chin slightly. Breathe out to lower. Breathe in to lift. Just exploring a gentle back bend. And then breathe out to lower. This time, spread through all your toes and press the tops of your feet into the earth, including that pinky toe, rocking the pelvis forward, pubic bone presses into the ground. Breathe in to rise up, perhaps growing a little bit taller. And then breathe out to lower and release. Walk your hands in so that way they're in line with your rib cage. Curl your toes under, lift your kneecaps away from the ground. Breathe in here, and then breathe on out to press on up to a high plank. Breathe in, breathe out to lower your knees to the ground, and then come to a seat on your mat. All right, once you are in a cross-legged seat, let's breathe in to send the hands high into the sky, and then breathe out to twist to the right. Left hand on your right thigh, right fingertips on the ground. Breathe in to sit up tall. Breathe out to journey a bit deeper into your twist. Looking past your right shoulder. You can find some movement in the neck by nodding your head yes. Breathe in, sweeping both hands high into the sky, reaching, looking forward, and then breathe out, twisting to the left. Breathe in to sit up tall, and then breathe out to journey a bit deeper into this spinal twist. Again, you can find movement with your neck on this side. All right, breathe in to unravel, sending the hands to the sky, looking forward, and then breathe out to bring your hands together out in front of you. Interlace your fingers, push your palms forward, and then hands towards the sky. Breathe in to find length through your side body. Breathe out to tilt over towards the right side. So we're staying grounded in the left side body as best as possible. So keeping that left glute, your left hip, connected to the earth as best as you can. Breathe in, breathe out to come back to center, breathe in, and then breathe out to tilt over towards the left side. Staying grounded in the right side body as best as you can. Breathe in here, and then breathe out to come back to center. Breathe in, and then breathe out to break free, and then bring your hands to your belly. Doesn't matter which hand goes over top, it's all good. And then when you arrive there, I invite you to either close your eyes or look down and past your nose. Relax your shoulders away from your ears. As we breathe in, I invite you to send the breath down to your hands. Imagine that you are filling a balloon up with air. And then as you breathe out, just imagine that balloon is now losing its air. Breathe in to fill your belly or that balloon. And then breathe out. Breathe in, directing the breath down to your hands as best as you can. And then breathe out. So I invite you to continue this belly breathing or balloon breath, whatever visual works good for you. As you just take a moment to just reflect upon how you feel. So balance can look like many different things. And even if we're just thinking about yoga postures, balance does not necessarily just mean, headstands or warrior three, half moon, like these standing balancing postures, arm balances. Balance could quite literally be sitting here in easy pose. It could be mountain pose, right? Standing tall on your mat. Feeling your feet connect to the earth, pressing into all four corners of the feet to keep you grounded. Sitting here as we find this upward lift of energy through the front body and then this grounding through the back body. So finding some balance there. And again, when we think about balance off the mat, well, if you balance, your work and play, making time for self-care. So it can look like many different things to each of us. And it's just something to think about and acknowledge. And finally, I firmly believe that core strength and balance, they go hand in hand. They directly impact one another. So by developing core strength, we're also working on balance and vice versa. So although core work can be rather challenging at times, there are definite benefits associated with it. So just keep that in mind because, a strong core can help us stand tall, sit tall, and help us engage in everyday activities. All right, let's take a final breath in through the nose together. And then breathe out through your nose or your mouth. Open up your eyes and bring your hands to your heart. Prayer position. Thank you so very much for being here today. I hope that you enjoyed today's class. I cannot wait to see you in the next practice. Take good care. Namaste.